How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. How are you? So thank you so much for
Oh,
joining me.
my pleasure.
Well, so a bit of a background. I've got an absolute swimming great in my presence tonight for my 8th episode. So born in Johannesburg, youngest of 3 siblings.
Yeah.
You started swimming at the age of 4, which is very young, but says a lot. And you moved across back to the UK age 13. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Um, you made your senior international debut in 2004, had an illustrious 12-year career, including obviously being double world open water champion in 2009 and 2011, Olympic Silver Medalist in 2008, a Commonwealth Games medalist in 2010. It's fair to say you achieved a lot in your career. So thank you so much, Keri-anne, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Now, if you don't mind, I want to kick things off by finding out what everyone wants to know about you, which is how you like your tea. Okay? So, bearing in mind, you did send me a photo earlier with a mug that looked phenomenal. Have you got the same mug by any chance?
No, I don't. I've changed mugs now. I've got the robins out.
I mean, you've got a strong collection of mugs. I'll give it to you.
They are good.
But yeah, if you don't mind, okay, I'm going to ask you 5 quick fire questions.
Yep.
And you're just going to answer them, letting us know how you like your tea, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, okay. So question number 1, breakfast tea or herbal tea?
Breakfast.
Yorkshire tea, Twinings, or Earl Grey?
Yorkshire tea every day.
You know what? Peyton Walsh will appreciate that. She's a big fan. Milk, sugar, or neither?
Milk, and that's it.
Yeah, me too. Okay, ginger nut biscuit, a plain digestive, or a chocolate chip cookie?
Oh, can I have a chocolate digestive instead of a chocolate chip cookie?
You know what? Because you are so nice. Okay, a chocolate digestive it is. Okay, final one. When is the best time to have your tea? Is it in the morning or in the evening?
Oh, good question. I'm a coffee in the morning, tea afternoon, evening.
Okay. Can I ask you a quick question?
Please do.
How many coffees are you on today?
So I'm actually, this is how bad the day, not bad, it's been a great day, but I definitely needed a few coffees. I'm actually now not even drinking tea or coffee. I'm drinking a hot chocolate because I can't drink coffee.
Love it. Some days you just need it, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But yeah, so today I've had 3 coffees and a tea and a mug. Essentially, it can only be described as a jug of tea that I had earlier. And that's, yeah, probably enough for me for today.
I mean, I'm impressed. You've hit the bill with the warm drinks today, to say the least. So good on you. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me and letting us all know how you like your tea.
My pleasure.
Okay, so I'd like to kick things off. So I've pre-warned you that I ask all of my guests 3 questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So my first question comes from Monday's Cup and Natter guest, GB athlete, 800-meter superstar, Adele Tracy. Now, Adele admitted that she likes to find out what other athletes and people involved in sport do outside of their sport. So her question to you is, if you weren't an open water swimmer or involved within sport at the moment, what would be your dream job and why?
To be honest, swimming was always going to be part of my life, no matter what. Whether I could do it, thankfully I could, or whether I was going to coach. I'd imagine if I wasn't a swimmer, I probably would be a coach right now, or would have been a coach growing up, because I just loved it. I loved the water so much. I was always going to do something. If swimming wasn't going to be the thing, I probably would have tried water polo. If water polo wasn't the thing, I probably would have gone down the route. And if diving wasn't the thing, I probably would have gone down the synchro route. But to be honest, diving and synchro, I would not have been good at, because I literally can't touch my toes and never have been able to. So I don't think I'd be a good diver.
Probably best to keep the open water swimming then. But I'm impressed. So was your love for being in the water and, you know, water sports, was that instant, even from like such a young age when you first started?
Yeah, instant. Asked me, not asked me, but and didn't make us, but she encouraged us to try everything. if you encourage strike, I did every sport. I did hockey. I realized very quickly that I did not like the idea of somebody running stick. I thought the swimming pool is what feels me. But I tried everything. I did cross country running, which I hated because I'm terrible at running. But I had the endurance background, so I ended up doing quite well in cross country because I was able to continue going. I did high jump, which I was okay at for a while because I was quite tall. And then one summer holiday, I just basically forgot how to do it. And literally, time I just had the fear of jumping over this thing, and I started jumping over it forwards, which is completely ridiculous. No idea. Completely. And I started jumping over it that way. And I was like, what are you doing? And for some reason I just couldn't figure out how to do it again, so I kind of gave up on that. I did shot put, I did literally everything under the sun you can do. But
was swimming your first sport that you picked up?
Yeah, I think so. I was, you know, born in South Africa, there's lots more active pools. People's houses that we went to had swimming pools, so mom wanted to make sure, because she didn't like swimming, that we could all swim. So we were all, it's kind of called drown proof South Africa, and it's definitely not recommended in lots of places, but essentially, you know, we learned to swim pretty much before we could even crawl, in terms of floating and being on our backs and stuff. But I loved it. I really loved it, and loved the feeling of being in the water. I'd spend hours in the water.
It's like, I suppose that's the beauty of sport, isn't it? That you kind of pick up something, you find this hobby, and you're kind of, you know, in awe of it. You want to do it every hour of the day. I guess you're saying that you were going to always be, it was inevitable that you were going to be involved in the sport. Yeah. When was like the time where you kind of thought, actually, I'm quite good at this, I could reach the top level of this sport?
Honestly, not until I was stood on the pontoon just about to dive into the beige. I've never been to think of the future, or I never allowed myself as a youngster to think of the future and standing on a podium, because I always felt like I was going to jinx it, I guess. So I just never did. I just kind of got to the next level and got to the next level and got to the next level, because I actually really loved it. And for me, actually, my whole swimming career was never about competing. It was about training. I loved training. I loved making myself a better athlete, a better person, by doing, you know, really solid, stupid sessions. Like 18,800s is kind of one of the sessions that comes to my head straight away. Like, it's a stupid session, but I did it and I loved it. I did a great session because I just loved the thought of making myself a better athlete. And that's really why I did it. You know, things faltered here and there when actually the love of swimming was lost for whatever reason. But what made me love that.
It's so refreshing to hear, and I guess it flows nicely into my next question, actually. So I kind of want to cast you back to 2012, the London Olympic Games. I remember watching your race on TV. I remember it like it was yesterday. And you had, off the back of obviously the fantastic success that you had in Beijing in 2008, you won your silver medal. And then at London 2012, you had 30,000 people come along the line of the banks, along the Serpentine in Hyde Park, just to watch your race. Now, just thinking about that, like, it's a pinch me moment, I imagine. It probably didn't seem surreal. But I guess that kind of highlighted, actually, you know, you single-handedly, in my opinion, put open water swimming, put swimming in general in the forefront of everyone's minds. You had the media attention, you had the public support through your success throughout your career. And I guess that was highlighted on that day, on the 9th of August 2012. But in terms of your career and looking back at it now, I've obviously touched upon all of the successes that you've had, the medals and everything that comes with it. The question I want to know, what was the main highlight of your career? Was it a specific medal, or was it the legacy that your success brought the sport and in getting more people interested in open water swimming?
So I guess it's not really until I took a step back that I really had chance to look at this. I think the further away you are from the sport, the more you appreciate everything that you did, and the stuff that happened. So the cliche answer is actually London was my most proud moment. Now, if anyone did watch that race, they might go, yeah, hang on a second, but you came fourth by 0.4 seconds. It absolutely sucked. I'm not going to lie. I was heartbroken, and it was just so hard to swallow at the time. But as you kind of alluded to be honest, 4 years previous, if we go back to Beijing, nobody knew what open water swimming was. It was the first time I'd been in the Olympics. And I remember having to explain to everyone what open water swimming was. They'd be like, "You're doing what? You're swimming outdoors? No, you're great. That's not an that's not a thing." I promise it's a thing. I've qualified. I'm going. I'm going to swim. Like, that's not a thing. I just remember having an argument with a taxi driver on the way to the airport to go out to Beijing, and he was like, "Nah, it's not a sport." And I was like, "Mate, it is. I promise you, I've qualified for it." What?
Olympic medalist about to be in the back of his taxi.
It was very funny. Anyway, and then to the success that GB had there. So there was 3 athletes, and we all came home with a medal. The success from there, and then following on the next couple of years to home Olympic Games, more people taking on triathlons, more people taking on mass participation open water swims. It was just incredible to have been part of that. And genuinely, I feel like actually my proudest moment was, and I'm so glad I let myself have a moment to just appreciate it. So when I walked out and they said, "I'm from Team GB, Keri-anne Payne," I stopped for a second and literally allowed the applause to just consume me and just be like, "This is cool. This is absolutely the coolest moments of my whole entire life." 30,000 people. And I joke and say, you know, I'm sure that there was 50 people there for the other girls that were swimming for the other countries, but it genuinely felt like 29,950 people were there to watch me swim. I felt it. I could hear people shouting, "Keri-anne, go Keri-anne," which you can't hear in the water normally. I could see people doing it because it's such a small venue. But to be part of that, and one of my favorite things that happens to me almost daily or weekly is someone will send me a message and say, "I watched your swim and you inspired me to take on a challenge." Now, the fact that there wasn't a medal won in that, but people were still inspired by watching the challenge, watching the swim, taking on something new, for me is incredible. And I know that the reason I'm on this planet, my purpose in life, is to inspire more people to take up open water swimming. And that's what I will continue to do for the rest of my life.
Amazing. I mean, you might as well stop there, because I can see the passion that you have in terms of, you know, inspiring the future and, you know, making a difference within sport. And I guess in terms of going back to London and having that many people there to support you, and I completely agree. I do think everyone there was actually there to support you. Did you feel any added pressure, or was it kind of, you know, wow, all of these people are here to support me, let's go for it?
No, there was no added pressure. I worked really hard mentally before that. I knew I was going to go in because I was the first person to qualify for the London Olympics. Our qualification happened at the World Championships the year before, of which I became double world champion. That was, you know, my second world title. So I knew I was going into a home Olympics as the favorite to win a gold medal. I knew that if there was anybody going to bet on it, that's what the bets were going to be. My brother bet on that. I know that's not allowed technically, but
pressure.
Yeah, exactly. But and he was happy to tell me that, but it didn't get to me that and I had way more sponsors that year than I'd ever had before, and I made them aware that, you know, that I'm not doing this for the pressure of it. I'm doing it because it's an amazing opportunity, and I can see that there's something that I can gain from my sport. But the thing for me that I worked really hard on was and the only person really that can put pressure on you is you. And what did happen, and people, you know, some people read into the position that I came in that I put too much pressure on myself. I didn't, and I didn't feel like I did do that. I just made a mistake. I made a rookie error in in the biggest competition of my life. I just made a mistake, and you know, I had to deal with the costs of that as we went through the rest of the swim. And there's nothing else I can say about it other than I just made a mistake and I had to deal with the consequences. But what I did do was, you know, I got hit in the face. I definitely saw ducklings flying around my head for a little while. And the thing I'm the most proud of is that I easily could have stopped. I could have gone, I know I'm not going to win now. There's no point in carrying on. And I was just 3/4 of the way through the race thinking there's no back up. But because I could see people shouting, "Keri-anne, go, Keri-anne, go," I could see their face now. I had to dig in, and I had to do as much as I could. So I went into the feeding station, which is where I made my error, in joint fifth, came out about 15th, and I managed within a lap and a half to make my way back up to fourth, to miss a medal by 0.4 of a second, to miss the gold medal by 4 seconds, which is small margins in the grand scheme. But I'm actually really proud that I stuck back into it and managed to do that. And yes, it was a heartbreaking position to come in, and I cried a lot about it at the time, but I'm still really proud of the performance.
I've got goosebumps just hearing it, and I want to share it because when I spoke to you initially about asking you to be one of my guests, I alluded to having listened to a podcast you were on I listened to it back in November, and I was going through concussion at that point. And I remember I wasn't allowed to watch any TV. I wasn't allowed to do anything pretty much apart from listen to podcasts. And I listened to your podcast, and that alone made me want to get back on the hockey pitch as soon as possible, to make a difference, to continue to try and, do whatever I can to overcome this bout of concussion. I think I listened to your podcast about 4 times, probably in about 24 hours. But in terms of looking back, I think, how you speak about that day, and you're still just as proud. I mean, I feel proud of you from listening. But 4th at an Olympic Games, at home Olympic Games, is a phenomenal achievement in itself. Having that number of people there to watch you highlights the success that you had within your career. So I just think hats off to you, and all that you achieved in your career, I think speaks volumes for you as an athlete, but also as a person. So yeah, cheers to that.
Thank you.
And I think that moves it quite nicely onto my next question. Okay, so this is more thinking, since your retirement in 2017, it's fair to say you've kept yourself nice and busy. Okay, so you've obviously given birth to your beautiful daughter Josephine in 2018. Is that correct? Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. From social media, I've had a look, and also you co-hosted a hit TV show called The Wave alongside Ryland Clark-Neal, and I'm a big fan of Ryland Clark, so I feel like that double act is spot on. But also you started your own business venture, Triscape, alongside your husband, who is also a triple Olympian. So I feel like you've got power couple goals right now, which is with the aim to inspire more people to get into swimming. So you're obviously keeping yourself busy, but what I want to know is, what's your main passion at the moment, and what drives you to continue to make that difference?
So it's an interesting one, and actually it's evolved over the last 2 years, really. So I made sure I had something to step into when I retired. So I knew I was going to retire. 2016 was my last Olympics, but I didn't want to retire having nothing to step into. So we set up Triscape, essentially, because I really loved traveling. I loved helping people. I knew I wanted to get more people into open water, and that's the best way I thought I could do it. And I absolutely loved it. And I really, really do genuinely love the one-to-one time with someone in the water, helping them be better, and seeing the light bulb moments where they're like, oh, it feels easy. That's amazing. And I would always say swimming should be easy if it's not right. And there's things that you can do quite easily to work on that. But essentially, that's what I love. I really love the feeling that I get when someone gets it. It's like a drug, essentially, and I love it. But having done that, I was approached by the Swimming Teachers Association to look into doing an open water coaching qualification. And I thought, I do want to be part of this. I'm trying to grow this sport on this world, and I feel an expert of something in this field to contribute. And they were like, we'd love you to be on board. And I said, well, I'm only going to join if I can have input into it, and if I feel comfortable with everything in there. And they were like, great. I don't think they were expecting me to be as involved as I was, because I essentially it was top notch and it was world class, and I feel really proud of that qualification. And now I tutor it. So I tutor this open water coaching qualification. I must admit, I thought nothing could beat teaching someone how to swim. And I do still love that. But what I love the most is my mission is to empower the world to swim. That is why I'm on this planet. And I could do that myself, but only to a certain extent. But what I'm able to do now is help other coaches to coach the same way that I do, to get those same moments of magic with someone. And all of a sudden, I now feel like I really am starting to empower the world to swim. So in 2 years since I've started the qualification, I've qualified 123 coaches, which is mind
Oh,
blowing. So to be
that is
part
how.
of, if each one of those people coach one person or two people or three people, you know, that number starts to grow and grow and grow. And I've had someone coming from Hong Kong to do it. Someone meant to come from America to come and do it, but obviously no traveling at the moment this year. I'm currently running virtual courses now, so I'm doing 2 of the 3 days virtually, and I've got one of my absolute best friends from the world of open water, Chad Ho, joining me as well from South
Wow.
Africa. So it is, you know, I do feel like I'm doing that I'm empowering the world to swim. So through the qualification and through a swimming methodology that I've kind of created along the way, is helping people to learn how to swim properly.
I mean, it's just fantastic. So the breadth of knowledge that you obviously have and that can build on from your own international career to put into this qualification, I guess that's, you know, a godsend in terms of that. Has a particular coach that you had personally helped inspire the way that you coach now with this qualification, do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I had some amazing coaches along the way, mostly good times, some bad times here and there, but mostly great. So I've learned from it. I've had 4 coaches and I've learned from 5 coaches, sorry, and I've learned something from each one of those. And I was very lucky that I had a lot more coaches, as I call them, rather than trainers who were the kind of dictators. Get in, get on with it. I know what's best. Do it. I had more coaches who were, you know, more of the athlete-led
Sure.
program that I try to deliver now. So I definitely, my last coach, Laurel Bailey, was really a wonderful coach, helping me understand that for myself, really making me take control of my performance. And I was uncomfortable with it at the start. I really wasn't interested in it. But the last 4 years of my career, from London through to I said Tokyo then, not to Rio.
Yeah.
She really helped me become more in control of my own destiny, my own performance, essentially. And again, the last 4 years were very different, and I came 7th in Rio. Again, I'm really proud of that performance. I could not have done any better than that. The other girls were just incredible athletes. But I loved it. I loved the last 4 years, and quite a lot of athletes towards the end of their career are just ready to finish. But I really loved every second of it because I felt fully in control of what I was doing.
Wow. I mean, and in terms of obviously the success that you had is carried on post athletic career, it's fair to say. In terms of if anyone wants to get involved within your qualification and jump on board, how can they do that?
Yeah, so I with the qualification, you can just send me a direct message on Instagram or something like that, or just Google straightlineswimming.com. There's an email address there that you guys can ask for more details. Of course, I will be running more virtual ones at the moment, with obviously the scenario situation that we're in, with the aim of doing the 3rd in-person day when we can. But I also have a series of CPD, so continual personal development courses online. So if anybody is interested in learning the beginnings of swimming, and I always start with breathing, I have a free breathing CPD that's out at the moment that you can do. That's through the Swimming Teach Association. So what I'll do is if you head to my Instagram page, I'll leave the link there. But essentially, if you just send me a direct message or something on Instagram, I'll be able to send you details if you're interested.
Well, I guess, I mean, you're learning from the best. So for anyone out there that wants to get involved, it's a no-brainer from my point of view. If I signed up, I think you might have your work cut out. So, but maybe give me a few years. I might think about it. But I mean, it sounds phenomenal, and it's clear to see that you are keeping yourself busy
Very.
during retirement, but also in this present time. So, good on you. I've actually got a few questions. I mean, I've got loads of questions from social media, but I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to ask them all. But there was one that kind of relates nicely to what you were just talking about. So Millie on Instagram, I think this is brilliant. How long can you hold your breath for underwater?
It's not really something that we practiced or did often. Certainly not something I would recommend anybody to try. But I know I could do 50 meters without having to take a breath, and that would take around, going fairly slowly, that would take around maybe 35 seconds or so. So I could probably, struggle to push 100, which would take, you know, a minute 10, a minute 15, no, probably minute 20 maybe, to do a slow 100. I probably couldn't hold my breath for much longer than that doing kind of exercise. So I think if I was to take a stab in the dark, maximum 2 minutes, but I would not want anybody to see me do that. That's wrong.
That is so impressive. I might
Yeah, but
have a look at the Guinness World Record. 2 minutes. I'm impressed. You're multi-talented, I swear. Okay, so I've got another one. I mean, let's go. Okay, so a question from Sarah on Instagram. What do you tend to eat before a long swim? And does this differ from when you are back competing?
Got a little secret. I don't really swim that much anymore. I do swim in the open water as much as I can, but I kind of need a bit of a break from doing long distance swimming. It was a huge part of my life, training 70,000 meters every single week, being the first in, the last out, lots of swimming on my own. So I don't actually do a huge amount of swimming now, other than, you know, jumping in the open water when I can, but really it's kind of short swims. But what I used to, so in like the morning, I guess before a hard session, I would have literally I'd have toast, peanut butter and a banana. That was kind of my staple go-to pre-swim breakfast. Pre-race breakfast, I guess, might be something of interest. So I would have a big bowl of porridge, with a banana in there with some peanut butter. So it's kind of like a combination of getting all the carbohydrate, slow release stuff, but protein in there as well before and snack a little bit in between breakfast and when I actually took on the swim itself. But tended to be more carby things, just because I'm not particularly great with sort of the milkier side of things. Pre-swims, they were never a good idea. The more like the carby side of things.
I guess you need to fuel well, don't you, for your type of race? But yeah, I'm very pleased to hear that you're a big peanut butter fan, because my mum worries that that's all I eat. Yeah. If it works for Keri-anne Payne, then it can work for me, right?
Yep.
Okay, I've got time for one more, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Now, this is quite a good one, I think. So I'm going to be biased, but it's a good one because it comes from my mum. Now, my mum is a big fan of you. Okay, She was absolutely astounded that I managed to get you onto Cuppa and Natter. And what Jill on Instagram, who is in the next room, wants to know: what do you think about when you're swimming for so long?
That's a great question, and a lot of different things, I must admit. So when I'm in a race scenario, usually it's a 2.5K loop, and we know that so it's a half an hour loop essentially. So the race would take about 2 hours. So when we got to like key points of it, so the feeding station or the turns, I generally was thinking about the lead up to that, being in the right position. Where am I? Who's behind? What's all that kind of stuff, and then going around the buoys. But then for the longer straights, you know, my mind literally would go from anywhere. It would go from the likes of, what was that? No, it's okay. It was just a don't worry about that. It's nothing. To literally singing, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. What I was going to eat when I finished, right? I've had a really race this one. I cannot wait to go to that ice cream parlor I saw on the way down here to have a big, massive ice cream at the end of this. Literally anything and everything. And the worst races was when they had some like music that I kind of knew in the lead up to us actually starting. So they might do like an intro song essentially when the athletes would come in, and if I got that stuck in my head, I would only sing that. Or if I had a song in my head and I would just end up singing like literally one phrase of or one line of a song for literally 2 hours, and it was the most annoying thing. But genuinely anything and everything, my mind wandered all the time. There wasn't any one specific thing, but usually it revolved around food is probably the common answer.
I think that'd keep me going for 2 hours swimming, to be honest. The thought of it. And it's fair to say you probably thought you were Beyonce singing in your head, so you kept yourself busy. Right, okay, so I mean, all very interesting. Thank you so much for that. 30 minutes is very nearly up. I mean, my big gigantic mug of tea is very nearly empty. A sign of how much I've enjoyed listening to you. I could listen to you all day. But I have one final thing to ask of you, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to now give you the power of what I'm going to ask my next guest on Couple and Natter on Monday, their very first question. So make it a good one.
So good. Oh,
Anything. It could be anything.
okay. It's going to be potentially a hard hitting one, but something I'm find out from people is how do you make challenging decisions? What's your criteria to make a challenging decision? So if something comes at you, how do you tackle it? And I think that's something I'm fascinated in. How people deal with stressful situations. What do you do?
That is
Good luck.
such a good question. Now, I'm not going to lie. Obviously, I'm the only person in the world that knows who my guest is, but this is going to be a really interesting answer, I think. In terms of for you, have you got a set criteria that you use when you face any challenges?
First is to just take a deep breath, because
Yeah.
you can't think through challenges if you're stressed. So the first thing would be to take a deep breath, and then I probably go down the route of what are the positive side of things that I can do. So what's the problem? What can I do about it? How can I make the best of a situation, essentially? So the current situation we're in right now, yes, I'm still trying to run a business, but I have a 20-month-old daughter, and I'm, essentially the main childcare person at the moment, a full-time mom as trying to work. But I know easily I've got really frustrated about it, but I saw the better side of both of it. I'm never going to get an opportunity to spend 2 months solid with a 20-month-old where she's learning new things every single day. She learned how to say pinky yesterday. Who knew
Oh,
those things? And she learned where it was and how to say it, and that she's got two, and then thumbs, and then elbows. Like, it's amazing, the learning that she's doing. It's about, I'm never going to get this time back again to spend with her. It's challenging, don't get me wrong, on some days, but I'm loving it. So it's how can I make the best out of the situation, essentially, is usually how I would tackle things.
I think that's invaluable advice. I think that's something I'll definitely take on board. If the super mum Keri-anne Payne's telling me to breathe, then that's what I'll do in any challenges that I face. But I really do appreciate it. Thank you so, so much for joining me, giving me your time. As I said, it's fascinating to listen to you. I've admired you for so many years, and I could honestly listen to you for hours. So thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Well, let's arrange another time to chat then.
Oh, please. We'll be going for hours then. But yeah, thank you so much. But my next guest for Couple and Natter, I know my first question, and it's going to be a cracker, I know. But my next guest is going to be announced on Sunday at 5 p.m. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But in the meantime, keep that kettle boiled, keep nattering using hashtag Couple and Natter. And Keri-anne Payne, thank you so, so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. See you on Monday, guys. Thank you.
Bye.